Hello and welcome back to Bulgaria Now. And if you're watching the video, well, that's great, thank you. And if you're on the podcast, that is great too. My co-host here, Clive Leviev-Sawyer, Editor-in-Chief of the Sofia Globe. How are you doing?
Very well.
Great. Just to remind everybody, this podcast is powered by the SofiaGlobe.com, foreignersandfriends.com and banskoblog.com. The ski season's coming, so check that out and all those good sites. Okay, so we're just doing a very short show today, and we're just looking at what's been going on, and on the Sofia Globe, Clive, you've got this story about 40 Bulgarian customs officers at the Sovol checkpoint are held in an anti-corruption bust. Now, what's interesting about this story for me is that it happens exactly 2 years to the day that the last anti-corruption bust happened.
Yes, indeed.
Coincidence?
Maybe it's, I'm not sure if it's some kind of, national day or saint's day or something, the patron saint of the Bribe. But yes, indeed, that was bust on November the 2nd, 2016. And as you say, it took place 2 years to the day from the bust of November the 2nd, 2014, in which a similar number of customs officers were arrested for a very similar offence, which was they'd been taking large sums of money from people using the checkpoint, and they'd been found with all this cash, etc., etc. And well, this leads to a very obvious question, so I'll ask it before you do. It's uppermost in our minds is, what did we actually hear further after the November the 2nd, 2014 operation?
No prizes for guessing the right answer.
We heard absolutely nothing.
Exactly nothing.
Yeah.
No surprise. This is such a surprise, not that we have a bust. It's 2 years on, and guess what will happen after this? Don't place bets, but it'll be absolutely nothing, I am sure.
We will meet at this place and time on November the 2nd, 2016, for the next operation, theatre, whatever. And I don't know, let me see, are we scheduled to have an election in 2016? Because, we do have an election in this country on Sunday, and people, of course, some of the candidates talk about corruption as an issue, and well, pretty much a headline grabber yesterday, this particular arrest of all these officers. Might be cynical to suggest that there's any connection. I'm sure they chose this day very carefully. Lance, by the way, yesterday's arrests of these chaps took place after they'd been under surveillance for a year and a half. I'm no police expert, but doesn't that seem like a rather long time to you? I mean, how often do you have to see people
survey them,
getting progressively wealthier? How often do you have to see, envelopes or whatever, however it works, money inside a passport and things like that?
4,000 euros on average, was it?
That's an official Interior Ministry statement after yesterday's operation, that these people were taking about average 4,000 euros. Some of them had big amounts of cash in their pockets and so forth. I remember the 2014 one as well. They went and they searched homes. They found cash in various denominations, euros, dollars, Turkish lira, of course, because the border checkpoint we're talking about, Lesovo, is very close to the Turkish border. So yeah, very striking. I mean, sort of, one has to admire the prosecutors and the people from the state agency for national security do these operations, because they have lots of practice. Sort of step one, step two, it goes very well. And I just wondered what point Bulgaria's courts will be playing their part in these series of operations.
Don't wonder too much.
I am not holding my
I
breath.
don't think so. We'll ask Felix the cat. Those of you who kindly commented about Felix the cat. Gosh, yes, there we go. Starring is the what's the word? Motto, not motto. The face of Bulgaria Now podcast. Oh gosh. And I do recommend, the reason I'm talking about Felix the cat, I do recommend taking a listen to our last podcast last week, which talked about I don't vote for anyone. I don't support anyone, sorry.
Except Felix the cat.
except Felix the cat. So yeah, we had fun on that one. I'm looking at SofiaGlobe.com, and I'm looking for some other interesting stories. We'll follow we won't follow what's happening on this checkpoint, because nothing will happen, will it?
No.
It's the same old story, unfortunately. And whilst I'm doing that, it reminds me of another story we had. What happened to Mitio the Eyes? Any more on him?
Last heard of, he's gone for treatment again in some foreign country. I can't remember which one it was. It was Turkey previously. I think he's gone to Germany now. Where presumably he has no trouble being admitted to a hospital. And that's, isn't it?
Nice segue. Well done.
Indeed.
The fingerprint story just came up as the featured story on your site. Tell us about this wonderful way that they can be sure that if you're going to get treatment in Bulgaria, that you are genuine, because they're taking your fingerprint. Or not, as the case may be. This
system was supposed to be introduced October the 1st. Hospitals weren't ready, so it was introduced on November the 1st. And yes, indeed, to be admitted to a hospital in this country, you naturally have to be registered with the National Health Insurance Fund. But to shall we say, get through the door, you need to now show your fingerprints as of November the 1st. Measure against fraud. Well, went fairly well day one, day two. According to the Health Insurance Fund, 300,000 people went through the system. Everything was fine. 100 people declined to give their fingerprints, which then raises the procedural problem of, if you don't give your fingerprints, they will not actually admit you for treatment. And they would put you through the alternative system, except they haven't actually come up with the alternative system. But let's leave alternative systems to one side, and that's very symbolic. And there we are. Anybody? See, that's my fingerprint. Because today the system crashed because it was overloaded.
And this was because just too many people were getting their fingerprints scanned, possibly, or too small a provisioning of the servers, or something.
Oh, Lord knows, too many people caught colds at the same time. I've no idea, or broke their legs, or broke their wrists, or something.
Yes, it's National Catch a Cold Day. Was 1st of November.
Oh, so I dare say.
Yeah.
So yes, the system crumbled, and the technical specialists, otherwise known as the geeks, are in there now and trying to get the system back up. And in the meanwhile, for those who want hospital treatment, they have to use their state-issued identity cards like they used to.
Back to the old system. I'm sure they'll fix it, so we'll see how that story progresses. You'll be able to keep up to date on that and much more on SofiaGlobe.com. Have we got a story on foreignersandfriends.com that you saw that may be of interest for listeners or viewers?
There are very many. Emmanuel at foreignersandfriends.com has also been doing, for those of us who want to get to know parts of Sofia better, for example, he did a very nice piece about the women's market, Ženski Bazar. This morning, interesting one. People want to know more about Sofia's synagogue, and I know we can speak on Emmanuel's behalf, he won't mind. Expect on foreignersandfriends.com to see more such stories.
The synagogue in Sofia, refuge for the saved Jews of Bulgaria, is the story.
It's a very interesting place.
That's a
lovely synagogue.
That's a great story. And okay, so the final story I want to mention is on banskoblog.com. Shameless plug, really, but I think it's kind of fun, because if you do enjoy your wines, I did an interview with Boris of Vino Culture in Plovdiv, and what's interesting, he's very passionate about Bulgarian grapes. So we spoke about that, we tasted some great wine. It was, if the truth be known, my third take of that show. It was a bit of a disaster the night before, and then we had another bit of a cock-up. But we've got a new system here. You can see we've got 2 microphones, a little bit more for me to think about. I'm pretty much there now, or hopefully they're now using all of this tech. But it's just to say that Plovdiv is a good place to go. There's another article on Bansko blog about Wine Lovers Weekend in Plovdiv, top 5 places to visit, one of which was Vino Culture. That's also on Sofia Globe and Foreigners and Friends. And there I talk about a really good weekend, going to some great restaurants, a vineyard, wow, that was wonderful, as well as Vinoculture and another wine bar there. So do check that out. Interview also with Zena Sorensen. I'm doing a bit of a plug for some. Most of the shows are what I call evergreen, which means that you can dip in and out, download them on iTunes or your podcast player that you use on Android, or you can stream, of course, on SoundCloud. So there's quite a few you can dip in. Talking of Plovdiv, very popular, the show we did actually last year.
Yes.
So do check that one out. I think it's episode 44. And also an interview with Clive. I managed to get a few things out about you, I think, on that interview. So if you want to know more about Clive, do take a look at that interview. But most of all, help Clive out and treat yourself. Christmas present, Bulgaria, politics and protests in the 21st century. Can you see that? Hey, and I took that picture as well. So, great. Thank you for using that picture. Oh, you gave me credit for it as well.
Yes,
thank you.
indeed, of course.
Thank you. Really good book. I'm not just saying that because he's here. He writes incredibly in a fashion that makes you want to turn over the pages. So, well done on this amazing book. There's another book that's just come out in Bulgarian for Bulgarian readers by Momchil
Metodiev on New York Metropolitan Andrei, a very interesting person in the history of the Bulgarian church, the history of Bulgarian politics, history of Bulgarian society abroad and within Bulgaria. I was at the book launch last night, and like all of Momchil's books, comes highly recommended.
Perfect. And that's a good reminder for me to mention the Bulgarian History podcast.
Indeed.
Eric Halsey, I edit the show, and I listen to every single one, and it's a pleasure. Actually, it's a great job because you'll learn a load of history that many people don't understand, and it's anyhow very interesting. I will say no more. We're going to wrap up the show. It's just been a short one, but just to say that if you want to support the show, you can see we're investing in new equipment and we're taking time out to do these shows. If you find them useful, and if you want to save yourself money, so you don't actually have to give us money, you could do, but if you don't, then you can share the show. We like that. We can follow. You can do the same on Sofia Globe, Bansko Blog, and Foreigners and Friends. But you can also save yourself some money using an intermediary site for that's called purse.io, and this uses your Bitcoin to basically save money on your Amazon purchases. I've used it 5 times so far, and it really does work. Save 15% or more on your Amazon purchases. Can't recommend it enough. I'll put in the show notes, I've just found an even cheaper way of bringing back, so you can set up an amazon.co.uk account. If you're in the UK, then of course that'll get delivered to your home address. But if you're in, for example, Bulgaria, you will need your goods delivered to Bulgaria. And there's 2 delivery companies, and one, I can't believe it, they're delivering at just half 50 satinki per kilo rather than 1.5 lev. So that's super cheap.
It is indeed.
Someone's phone's going. Okay, we better wrap up. Just to say thank you so much for watching if you're watching, listening if you're listening, and we'll see you again soon. And thank you, Clive.
My pleasure. Just my quick punt of my own. Sunday night is presidential elections, first round in Bulgaria. Expect running coverage, Sofia Globe, through the night as the results come in. And foreignersandfriends.com, take a look at our partner. If you are more comfortable reading your news in German, look out on Sunday night, because for the first time you will be having rolling coverage from Foreigners and Friends in German.
How about that?
Elections. Very cool.
We like that. And if you do like it, as I say, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, let us know. Put that in the comments. Your comments are very welcome, Facebook, wherever. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye for now.